Hello everybody, Jake Goldberg here for the first ever episode of Indie City TV. We have some very exciting news for you today, from Vlambeer to Team Meat. We have Whittaker Trabella, the creator of Pivvot, here to talk to us today about his game, being an elementary music teacher, and much, much more. Today on Indie City TV. Seems like it's been quite a while since we've heard about Starbound, also known as Terraria in Space. But developer Chucklefish has come out to explain that the game won't be releasing till next year. Although they did originally say it's coming up this year, but we'll give them a break, because, you know, it's hard to make a game by yourself. But for all you eager beavers out there, they are going to be releasing the beta soon, and if you've pre-ordered the game, you automatically have access to said beta. So hopefully we'll be able to play the game soon. Were you guys disappointed by the fact that the final Steam announcement wasn't Half-Life 3? I know I was. But, you know, it was a controller, which could be interesting, although it's got the strangest design. It looks like it was made for DJ Hero, it looks like a boombox, it looks like it has eyes, looks like a parrot. It looks like a lot of things. But for a lot of people wondering how the trackpads would control, Tommy Reffinez, the creator of Super Meat Boy with Edmund McMillan, who created some of the tightest controls in video games, went ahead and did a demo of the controller, and he said it actually worked pretty well. He said at first it seemed it had some latency issues, but it turned out to be the monitor that they were playing it on, and it ended up being pretty good. He said it was a little odd getting used to the trackpads instead of a joystick, but overall he liked it, and is very excited to see the full release of the controller. Also in Team Meat news, Emmett McMillan's Binding of Isaac has reached its 2-year anniversary, and to celebrate he made the game $1 on Steam and released a 30-minute mini-documentary created by the same people that made Indie Game the Movie, where he did a 30-minute long interview talking about the creation of Binding of Isaac, the marketing of Binding of Isaac, and the future in Rebirth. So definitely check that out, it's free on his blog. In other indie news, Vlambeer changed the name of their game Wasteland Kings, the game they've been working on for quite a while, ever since the most recent Mojam, and now they are calling it Nuclear Throne. Recently, an employee from In Exile, the company that made the Wasteland games quite a while back, who are now making a new Wasteland game, contacted Vlambeer, raising concerns that people would confuse Wasteland Kings with the reboot of Wasteland they were currently kickstarting. Vlambeer, taking the higher route, decided to rename the game rather than getting lawyers involved, and is now being called Nuclear Throne. They went ahead to continue to say that the game will be available in early access on Steam very soon, and that they hope the name change doesn't affect it at all. You can still watch them develop the game live on their Twitch channel, and I highly recommend you do. If you don't know anything about making games, it is very entertaining to watch. The Cave from Double Fine and Ron Gilbert is about to be re-released, this time on iOS, so iPads, iPhones, and iPod Touches. The game is going to launch at $5, it has new touch controls, and it's only $5. I mean, seriously people, I know it wasn't the best reviewed game of this year, but it was really, really fun. The humor is great, and I actually did a review of it that you could totally check out if you're not sure on the buy. Okay, we're playing Pivvot. Oh man, aw, dang it. Alright, let's see. So we'll go that way. Okay. Alright. Aw, nuts! Oh yeah. Oh no! God. This is getting ridiculous. Hello. Yes, is this GameFAQs.com? Yes, I need you to send over Whittaker Trabella, developer of Pivvot, for only $2.99 on the iOS App Store right away, please. Thank you.
I heard you had a call.
Oh my goodness!
Hello!
You got here so fast!
I did. I teleported here.
You made this game?
I did make this game.
Oh wow. Hey everybody, welcome back to Indie City TV. We're here today with our first guest ever. Sorry for the disappointment. Whittaker Trabella!
Hello, I'm here. Good to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. So, Whittaker, what have you brought for us today?
I brought my game Pivvot.
You spelled it wrong.
I spelled, yeah,
That's
I did. I tend to do that with things.
It looks almost like Pivot.
Yeah, I know. And people always think like
do people ever put W's like when they say,
guys,
you gotta try this new game on the App Store, Pivvot?
The other thing they do is they say it like French, like you should play Pivvot.
Oh God, it's so pretentious. Yeah. So obviously, I mean, if anyone that's played the game, it's on iOS for $3. You're working on a PC Mac release.
Yes, as you can see, it's running here, but it's really kind of.
Right, it's in the works.
Yeah.
It's on Greenlight?
It is on Greenlight.
Okay, cool. So we could put some... You could definitely check it out on Greenlight. It's a very cool game. And if you want to play it now, if you have an iOS device...
It's on Android, too.
Okay. Oh, it's on Android now? Okay.
Yeah, it came out a couple weeks
ago. How is that then? Because I know a lot of people don't release stuff on Android because it's got... There's so many different devices.
Yeah, the good thing about Unity is that it just sort of deals with most of that for you. I mean, the other thing is... Well... Okay, maybe not just Unity, but Futile. It's by Matt Ricks. He made TrainYard, and he made a framework for Futile or for Unity, and it sort of does that.
Okay, cool. So it does a lot of it.
Saves some of the time.
So I'm assuming that's what you use that on Apple as well, because we were talking earlier that I have an iPhone 4, and I was playing this for the first time. It blew my mind, like particle effects, and like it's so much faster.
Yeah, you played it on the iPhone 4, and it like runs so badly, and it has like no...
It's still playable.
Yeah, but it's
I think the biggest problem is when you start playing it, it doesn't draw you in as much because like this is kind of slow.
It's like a blank white screen rather than all these like, cool...
it blew my mind, like all the particle effects and stuff. But yeah, let's. Do you want to go ahead and play a little bit?
Sure. I'll do. I just added these two modes: random, expert, endless. They're faster.
Are they on the iOS version as well? Yeah, turn on it. Don't worry about the music.
They are on the iOS version, yes.
Okay, cool.
So here's this like pretty random, fast version.
Oh wow. Okay, so maybe if people like played it a little bit and they'd be like, really, like this is so dumb. There's nothing here.
Yeah, like it's funny because like some people
because they won't get this far, so they'll just assume it's nothing but the same stuff.
Frame rate right now is really kind of dying.
It's alright.
But yeah, I mean, so it's funny because most people are like, this game is way too hard.
Oh really?
But then, like, the gamers, the core gamers, especially people who played Hexagon, Super Hexagon, are like, this is the easiest, most boring game ever. So, like, I'm trying...
Whoa, that's intense.
So I'm, like, trying to add modes that please both.
Oh, man, that's... Okay, so I've never seen stuff like this specifically, so
the frame rate's kind of lagging right now.
That's all right, yeah, no.
But, yeah, so that's the random... Endless
and then what was the other mode?
The other one is random. Well, that's random expert endless. This is random endless. Same type of thing, except it's just the easier shapes that you've probably seen.
Yeah, the casual. Yeah, casual gamer. More like casual panda gamer.
Gamers that don't know how to game.
So you mentioned that you did have some influence from Super Hexagon.
Yes, very much so.
Terry Kavanagh's. That honestly. Not only was it, I don't remember who it was, someone named it Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Was that Destructoid?
I can't remember.
Destructoid called it Game of the Year, not even just Indie Game of the Year. And that was unprecedented for an iOS game to be considered one of the best games ever.
Exactly.
Of a year.
Ever in 1 year.
But like, it really was amazing, and it's so crazy because it's like, why hasn't anyone done anything like this before? And I as much as I love his game, when I first saw yours, I was like, okay, it's obviously influenced by Super Hexagon. But there really is something about it that's a lot different, and it's kind of an odd thing. It's like a mentality, because with Hexagon, it's more about escape. With this, it almost feels more like adventure, which sounds
cool
odd in like the perspective of what these games are.
Actually, I mean, that's the first one exactly. Voyage.
So I think that was kind of maybe not you maybe didn't think of it that way. Like Hexagon, I've always imagined Hexagon, like the game itself, what it is. I always thought of it as like the characters from VVVVV trying to escape like a vortex or something. Because the last one, or not the last one, but Hexagonist, it's all done in the color palette of the VVV characters. And Chipsel did them. Like I was basically turning VVVVV into Lost, and I was just making all these connections that like probably made no sense. And then I
conspiracy theories.
Exactly right. And then what I like about your game is more about like, because Hexagon was like. A lot of people when they play Hexagon, they talk about, I only lasted this long.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, it's more like, I got this far and I saw this thing.
That's true, yeah. I loved Hexagon. I've never even beat the third mode.
Yeah, like, no, I haven't.
What's the third mode? Hexagon?
Hexagonist.
Oh, that is Hexagonist. Yeah, I've never beat that.
And then there's Super Hexagon and Super Hexagon.
So I haven't even beaten the third mode. So I totally appreciate the game, and the game is just such an inspiration. But I did want to make a game that was a little bit more accessible. on one hand, like I said, some people got bored because of it, but on the other hand, like Voyage starts pretty slowly. Like it's basically forces you to learn. Like
it's like a normal game. Yeah, it teaches you.
So like you have to start with the basic shapes and things like that, and then as the game progresses, then you later get into more and more complex things.
Does anything happen during those periods of like the colors, like when you collect the beads?
Yes. Okay. So Voyage.
Because that was my problem. Was I wasn't completely understanding the.
Yeah, I kind of err on the side of being sort of mysterious.
No. Yeah.
But like if you look at the level progression, it starts with just one shape and so now if you look, the white background negative mode is just one shape. It's like the learning purgatory.
Oh, okay. Oh, so when you get to this point, you're just going to see the same thing.
So now I'm learning this rotating sticks. Now it's back to integrating. So now it integrates the sticks with the shapes you've seen before. So then it's...
So wait, are those levels always the same thing then, or does it depend
Well, no,
on...
so that was the rotating sticks. Now the next level is this shape. So now it's windmills.
Oh, I get it. Okay, so So the negative space always comes up.
Yeah, it alternates. So it goes...
That's really cool. See, like that's what I mean. Like there's so much more. And I think there's a lot of people who probably downloaded this game or chose to not download this game because it reminded them of Super Hexagon.
Yeah.
But I really do think it's important that it is a completely different game in its own right.
It's kind of what's funny. Like watching Jay Smith's video about it.
Shout out to Jay Smith OTI
69.
So
his playthrough was awesome, and it was funny because he kept bringing up Super Hexagon. Like, this reminds me of Super Hexagon because, but then he would be like, well, not that it's like exactly like it, but yeah, I mean, I totally admit that a lot of the aspects in terms of the gameplay and everything are similar, but at the same time, I tried to kind of branch out and have something different.
So you're finishing Pivvot now for PC Mac. It's on Greenlight. Do you have something else you're doing right now, or you haven't come up with ideas for anything else? I mean, what's the process of coming up with an idea for you? Like, as
that's a tough thing. Yeah. I struggle with that. Like, when I first started Polymer, I taught myself to program over about a year, and I just made lots of little games like that. I didn't even know would go anywhere.
Yeah.
But after I started this random game with tiles and just making it work and be like, let's make a game of tiles. And then after a while, I was like, oh, wait, this could be a real game. So similar kind of thing happened with Pivvot. Like I made a bunch of different prototypes
or
and
brototypes.
Brototypes,
Broforce.
Brotato types.
Potato chips.
Oh, that sounds good.
It does sound good.
Although it might smell bad, but if you power through the smell.
Actually, I have Sun Chips. Do you want me to do you like Sun Chips?
Sure, I love Sun Chips.
They're Harvest Cheddar. I know some people...
Anyway.
By the way, this first episode of Industry TV is brought to you by Sun Chips.
The best chips you can ever get.
Let's get real close to the microphone.
So I wrote in my sketchbook. And I drew a bunch of ideas, and I kind of just like was brainstorming, and I drew this little pattern, this thing that was like a bunch of paths with a circle on it. It was like, oh, cool, a circle moves on a path. So I made that. I made a little stupid little prototype that literally was a path, and the circle moved on it, and it was kind of cool. And I made like random obstacles flying through space and like trying to hit you. It's kind of cool, but I ended up thinking like, well, I don't want the circle to be stuck to the path. It's a little too boring, so I'm gonna make the circle be stuck to a stick that's stuck to the path. And so it just kind of progressed like that. And after a while, I was like, oh wait, this is like a really cool mechanic. Now I was inspired from Super Hexagon in the first place. However, it was kind of the way that progression evolved. Sort of came out of nothing. But then once I ended up coming up with that like circular pivot motion, I was like, oh my god, that's like
that's the name of the game.
See, it makes sense.
I win.
You got it. I was waiting for you to get that.
I thought it was Pivot the whole time, so I was really confused.
Well, it's Pivot.
Pivot. The T sound.
Voyage.
Probably.
But yeah, so once I had that, like I was like, oh my god, that like is really close to Super Hexagon. And at that point, I was like,
did that worry you at all? Though?
It did a little bit, and that's why I'm like spitting Sun Chips at you.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, cool. But like at that point, I was like a little bit worried, like shit, like I didn't mean to, but this is actually getting to be.
I was like that. Oh,
like
you felt like to email Terry. Hey man,
I literally did.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
like,
I
even
did.
Before you finished it.
Yeah, this is like a month after I started making it. It was that early. Like I just did that rotation thing. I showed a couple obstacles, and I sent Terry a video. It's like, hey, what do you think? Like, I totally respect your game. I love your stuff, and I'm not, trying to. If you think this looks like too close to your game, like just let me know.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to copy.
And that's cool. I mean, and actually that's kind of funny. Just unrelated. I mean, Wasteland Kings. I don't know if you heard about that. They recently changed
nuclear.
Yeah, it was really funny because he was in the article that Rami wrote. He was just like, I don't really see what's confusing, but all right. Like, I just love that attitude of, like, the indie developer. Of just, like, it's all about just getting your game made and, like, making sure everything's cool. But what did Terry reply?
He was awesome about it. Yeah,
cool.
He was just like...
I love Terry Kavanaugh.
Yeah, I've actually never met him. But
I haven't either, but
he's such a
I love his games, and I love
games are amazing.
The free indie games website's a fantastic
amazing,
resource for everyone.
Yeah.
And Naya's Quest, the new game you just played.
I haven't played it, but I've seen
really cool.
Yeah. Images.
It's really interesting. It's like a indie Qbert.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. But yeah, I emailed him. He seemed like cool. That he was just like, "Don't mess it up with in-app purchases." And I was like, "I'm not going to."
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
So.
That's funny that he would say that. Like, I mean, obviously, that's when you really realize this guy doesn't even know me. Like,
well, and he's like so. He's all about premium gameplay.
Oh, right.
So that's kind of what I want to go towards with my games. So.
I really like Terry. I love like VVVVV.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it was one of the first indie games I ever played. And
yeah,
I was
me too.
Like, I want to play more games. There's more games like this.
I know, and his music choices are
Chipsel. She's fantastic.
Same with Souleye on TV.
Yeah.
It's just both of those soundtracks.
Chipsel just put out a new album.
I haven't listened to it yet, but her stuff
good.
is just incredible.
Yeah, chiptune amazes me. Like, you ever watch, like, I don't know if you've been to a chiptune show.
No.
Like, those people, especially if they're the ones playing with, like, a Game Boy, they're insane. Oh, they go crazy.
Yeah, see, I do like faux chip tunes. I compose. I have like a plugin on Logic Pro, and I just sort of use a MIDI keyboard.
That's not indie at all. I wanted to ask you. I mean, what? So independent developers oftentimes, unless they're Notch or Edmund McMillan, they have other jobs.
Yes.
And this was probably one of the biggest reasons I wanted you for the first show is because you have not the coolest, but a really, in my opinion, really awesome job outside of independent developing. What is it you do?
I am a music teacher, and I...
But who for?
Children.
That's adorable. And a little creepy, but that's fun. Hey, kids, you want to play the skin flute?
Oh, my God. No.
Never? You never...
I really hope that parents of my students don't
I'll probably cut that
out.
But...
No, but it's funny because I've said things like that accidentally. Like, people have been like...
Wait,
because
How do you accidentally say that?
No, because I've taught high school. I've taught.
Okay.
I haven't taught middle school. I've taught high school and.
Don't ever go to middle school.
Yeah, that's what everyone says. And I've taught elementary, and over the years I've realized that elementary school is really just my favorite place to teach, just because it's just I don't know. I'm sort of immature.
It's kind of amazing though. I mean, I have some amazing memories from elementary school. Like, we would do this thing, and I don't know what they do in elementary. I mean, you probably don't even play instruments anymore because, like, funding being cut. But
no, we have pretty good.
Oh, really?
We're at a pretty well-funded
That's
school.
Fantastic. So. Like, so you make games? Is that because you like games?
Yeah, my first system was the NES, and I've been playing since then, and I've just always been obsessed with games.
Okay, now, favorite top 5 games from every single system.
Like. 5 per system?
5 per system.
Oh, Jesus. I don't
top
know
5
if I
NES.
think of 5.
Top 5 Super Nintendo. Top 5 Philips CDI.
What?
Philips CDI.
What the fuck is that?
You don't know what a Philips CDI is?
No.
Really?
I've never heard of that.
When Nintendo wanted to make a disc-based console, I'm not joking. I'm not joking.
I know, I believe you. I'm just laughing.
When Nintendo wanted to make a disc-based console, this was pre-PlayStation, they first went to Sony, and they were going to collaborate to make a disc-based console.
Holy shit.
When Nintendo decided against teaming up with Sony, that's when Sony went off and did their own system, and instead Nintendo signed up with Philips to make one. Like, I mean, they were like one of the head electronics creators. And so what ended up happening was Nintendo didn't want to put their name on it, but they were going to let them use their IPs, so Mario and Zelda.
Really?
So they came out with the Philips CDI. I don't think it was the first disc-based system, but it was for Nintendo, I guess, technically. And they didn't own any rights to anything, but they allowed them to use these characters. So they made Mario... It's not Mario's... Is it Mario's Time? No, Hotel Mario.
Hotel Mario.
And the Wand of Gamelon or something like that.
I totally missed out on
No. These are like...
Hotel Mario sounds awesome.
No, it's awful. So yeah, they made these games and they were terrible, and the CDI just completely failed, and Nintendo like completely like shuns anything that's ever come out of it. Well, like, what were some of your favorite games like growing up? Like,
my first, like, you know, obviously Mario and things like that, but besides that, I loved Bubble Bobble.
I love Bobble, dude. If I would have known that, I would have brought that instead of Spelunky. Like, that would have been
the music.
So... Yeah, it is really good.
It's so good.
No, keep going.
That's all I remember.
No, keep going. So yeah, Bubble Bobble.
Snow Brothers.
Yeah, that game was awesome. He's trying to be like a hipster, like, man,
Rainbow.
I don't know if you've heard of these NES games. They're pretty obscure.
Mick Kids. Did you have that one? It was so stupid, but it was so fun. It was like such the biggest product placement ever.
Yeah.
Super Nintendo, Yoshi's Island, fantastic. Kirby's Dream Course. You played that?
Of course.
Of course, Mario Kart on Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah, totally. I didn't really, I didn't play it for whatever reason. I'm just gonna cut every musical thing you do.
Just loop it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, fuck you.
No, not out. No.
Yeah.
Nintendo's gonna put a copyright on my video. So we talked a lot about retro games. No one cares about retro games. What are some of your favorite indie games?
Well, Spelunky. If you know me or follow me, you'd be probably like really annoyed by how much I bring that up. I'm pretty obsessed with it, but oh my god, there's more and you didn't tell me.
You had 2 chips. Of course there's more.
I don't know. I thought maybe you ate like 5.
Ignore it.
God damn it. Awesome Knots. I'm not sure how much of an indie game that can count because I think it's like a pretty big team, but it's really amazing. Smaller indie games, most stuff like by Terry Kavanagh. Also just a bunch of different things like iPhone games on.
What are some? I mean, as an iOS developer, we were talking about that earlier. How a lot of people who play indie games, I don't think realize how many good indie games there are.
Yeah, and it's frustrating because there's a lot of good material on iOS, and there's a lot of crap
like
too.
Pivvot.
Ding. But like for example, obviously Vlambeer's stuff, Ridiculous Fishing and Super Crate Box, all that shit is just amazing.
I love that game so much.
Yeah, those games are just amazing, and they're big inspirations to me too.
Really
also,
good.
Mike and Greg's stuff.
Mike and Greg.
Do you know Greg Woolwind?
I don't know names.
He's a Chicago guy, actually.
I know, but like, what did he do?
They worked on Solip Skier.
I don't think I know that.
Oh my god, it's so good. It's just gorgeous, and it's a very good mobile game because it's simple.
Man.
But it's so well made. The game design's amazing. They also they did a game called Gasketball. Didn't do too well financially because they were trying to do the freemium thing, but in a good way. But it just unfortunately that doesn't work. Yeah. So, but it's a great game, and just their artistic direction and their game design is just fantastic. I really respect them a lot. Let's see what else. Also, there was this game. Oh damn, I forget what it's called. I'm not even gonna be
Pivvot.
That's a good one, yeah. If you haven't heard of that, it's $2.99 in the App Store.
That was actually something we never talked about somehow, but it was one of the main things I wanted to ask you about. You did a week of free.
Yes.
The game's $3, which isn't bad at all to begin with, but you did a week of the game being free. And I never thought that would be... I always kind of thought that was just an indie developer's way of like, well... might as well just get people to play the game. Give up.
You're right. I think in some cases that is the case. Like,
but not always. Right?
Like I get frustrated when or not frustrated, but I almost feel bad when I see like a developer be like, I just launched my game. It's free for a week, and then it's going to go to pay. Well, no, that's not the time to make it free.
Right,
you got to launch it at the like. When I first launched my first game, Polymer, I launched it at 99 cents. Then it went up to $2.99 later. And I think I missed out on because I think most of the sales I'm going to get as a paid game is going to be from people who already support me. Right. So like they're going to pay $2 more. So that's why on Pivvot I launched at $2.99. Right. I never planned on making it free until way later.
Right. And I think was this your wife? I mean, your wife is in PR.
Yeah.
Was that her idea? Or
no, actually, because I honestly was like, I'm not going to make this free unless maybe a year from now,
to celebrate.
Maybe some random. I wouldn't have just done it, for no reason. But maybe if some random. One of those app free a day thing contacted me, I'll do it. But Apple contacted me.
Oh, okay.
And they were like, hey, do you want to make your game free for the free app of the week? And I was like, okay, I'm not going to turn down an Apple suggestion. And like, first of all, just being doing what Apple wants, I think, is good. Just get just for them to know that.
Are they responsive then? I mean, you always hear about how responsive Steam is to people who put their games on, like to their games, and like you can do whatever you want with it. You can change the price. You can add info. You can do your updates.
Price info, all that you can just do. You can change any time. But updates, they have the review process and everything like that. And they're pretty quiet. Like they're pretty locked down. You can ask them things, and they'll be like, "Yeah, we want to do your free app of the week." If we decide, So I was like, okay,
just to make sure there's interest in you to even before they even begin to.
And they never give you an exact answer until it happens.
Right.
But,
so then they obviously did. They allowed you to do the beginning of the week.
Yeah, and they said, "Do you want to do it?" And I said, "Yes." And we thought about it. Is it going to be worth it? But I think just like having that on the front page of the App Store, you just can't beat that exposure.
Where were you on the rankings then?
So I was like. Before that started, I was like down off the rankings and made like $22 that day.
Yeah.
The day after, for that whole week, it was literally like number 2 in the App Store.
What were you behind? Minecraft Pocket Edition.
No, I was above that actually.
Angry
well,
Birds,
it was
Star
free
Wars.
though. Remember, so So it was above. The free charts are different from the paid charts. So I was above, or I was right behind. Where's My Water 2?
Oh, okay.
Disney
That's
game.
a really big deal. That's like
and I was like, God damn, Disney brand recognition, shit. So it was amazing just to have that on number 2. Like,
I mean, I don't know, like. That's gotta be so cool, like for people who know you or know your game, and like holy shit, like
that's the thing, like just being able to.
Like, I thought that, like I mean, I've talked to you for a couple months now, and like I thought that was insane. I'm like, I mean, I get it's a free game, but like there's so many free games.
Just being able to see that, like literally anyone you walk down the street with, like if they open the App Store, they'll see my game.
Right,
like, that's a really cool feeling.
And then the thing is, I mean, when you took it off though,
2.5 million people downloaded it. Over that, almost 3 million people downloaded it during that week. So.
What's the install date, or what's the install of, like, I mean, in general, like, how many iDevices are there? Like, I don't know if there's any kind of numbers out there about that.
Probably, I don't know.
Probably like 1 billion.
Yeah.
100 billion.
75.
That's insane, though.
Quadrillion.
2 million, 2.2.
Yeah, 2.5 million people, and like the highest day was 590,000 in one day. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I also had like. I had a more games link, so like more people bought Polymer. It wasn't that much, but
it's still like it rolls over.
So
it helps.
So just that exposure has been just fantastic. Like the day after, like the day before the promotion, I made like $22. The day after, it was like 100 times that. Like I made like $2,200 on like the day after. So like,
and people would think like, why would you make your game free? What does that even do?
Yeah, and like I think in some cases, just to do it for no reason, it's stupid.
Right.
Unless you have in-app purchase and it's like your business plan. But I don't. And for a game like Pivvot where there's no in-app purchase, really the only way I would do it is if it was supported by Apple. And so. With all that exposure now, all the word of mouth and everything, it's still in the rankings.
And that's the thing too, is it's a very visual game. I mean, like the poster we made for Indie City, it's not in the front like everything else is, but it's unmistakable. Like like the low, and that's what I think is so smart about the spelling, and like there's something about it, especially now seeing it like in a higher quality, like the lighting engine, and Unity's lighting is amazing.
Like, well, actually, no, it doesn't even use Unity's lighting.
Oh, it doesn't?
It's just sprites,
okay.
But,
it still looks really good. I'm not the developer here.
Well, thank you. No, but yeah, I mean, I wanted to. It's funny, I didn't even mean to, but now I have 2 games that start with a P, and I'm like, I have to make my 3rd game with a P, probably. Like Polymer, Pivot, and Penis game.
Penis lovers. It was very odd. 69 cents on the App Store.
Josh would love it.
Josh would
J. Smith
I hope Josh is watching it. I feel like he's got it. All right, well, this has all been very informative. Whitaker, thank you so much for being on this first episode.
Thanks for having me.
It's been fantastic. If you want to go ahead and do your plugs, I'll watch. All
right. So Pivot, it is on the App Store for $2.99. It's on Android for $2.99, and it's going to probably eventually be on Mac and PC. It's on Greenlight right now.
Don't give those thumbs up.
But, more information on wtrabella.com if you want to go there.
And then if they want to find any of your other work?
Right now, Polymer, my first game, is only on iOS, so eventually it'll probably be on Android, but yeah, for the most part, just go to my site, wtrabella.com, or just search the App Store for my games, Polymer or Pivot.
Where can they read them tweets?
wtrabella, at wtrabella.
Hashtag wtrabella.
No, not hashtag. Although you can start a hashtag with my name if you want.
That would be pretty cool.
But yeah, I tweet all the time. So
do you?
Yes.
About Spelunky and how bad you are at it. Because I'm the greatest Spelunky player who ever lived.
No. Hey,
1.3 million.
Okay,
1.3 million.
Okay, fine.